dear students, welcome back to my class. So in the previous video, we discussed about the passing package of 2nd PUC Computer Science, and we saw the list of important chapters that what we need to go through to score maximum of 38 marks, that is between 21 to 30. Well, in today's video, we will discuss about the details of each and every chapter. So the first chapter is basic concepts of OOP, which carries 7 marks. So you will have one 2 marks question and one 5 marks question. So totally 7 marks you can score when you go through this chapter completely. So let us see the possible questions and the answers that what you need to write for this chapter. The first one is explain the concepts or characteristics of OOP. So you get the question like explain the concepts of object-oriented programming or explain the characteristics of object-oriented programming. So as it is for 5 marks, you can write any 5 among this. So this is object, class, abstraction, then we have data encapsulation, inheritance, overloading. You can just learn about the definition of function overloading here. Then polymorphism, dynamic binding and message passing. Totally 9 concepts you have, and it's better if you learn all these 9 concepts because you also have one 2 marks question. So you may get a question like what is data abstraction and encapsulation for 2 marks. So if you learn all the 9 concepts, it will be useful for both 2 marks as well as 5 marks. So the next question, it is advantages of OOPs. Explain the advantages of object-oriented programming. So all these are small line definitions you can easily learn. It's all nothing but the concepts that how they are useful here in object-oriented programming. So there are 26 points here. It's better if you write all these valid statements only. So these statements only if you write, you get complete 5 marks. Then the difference between procedural programming and object-oriented programming. This will be the question, or it will be in a different format like mention any 5 advantages of object-oriented programming over procedural programming. So this question especially you have to make column object-oriented programming and procedural-oriented programming. And while writing the column, make sure which one you will write first, object-oriented programming or procedural. Don't get confused. Usually what happens while learning, these definitions gets interchanged, right? So make sure you write the proper heading first. So first you will be learning about object-oriented, then about procedural-oriented programming. So like this, you have to make columns and write the points. That is object-oriented programming and procedural programming. Totally you have 5 points. So you need to learn about these 5 points. So this is the differences, the most usually asked question. So advantage is done, concept is done, then difference is done, then finally the disadvantage. Disadvantage you only have 4 points. So for this question what they will do, they may merge a question like what is object oriented programming. So the definition of what is object oriented programming you need to learn, and followed with that they will ask the disadvantages because you only have 4 points here. So they may ask what is object oriented programming first, then they will ask the disadvantages. So 4 points you need to write. So learn the definition of object oriented programming, that will be for 1 marks, and 4 disadvantages. Then you have the applications, right? The applications of object oriented programming. All these are small lines, you can easily remember this. So totally 8 you have. Any 5 if you learn, it will be well and good, and you need not write any description also for this. So this is for object oriented programming chapter, totally 7 marks. You will get 7 marks. Then classes and objects. This is for 6 marks. One is of MCQ, the other one is for 5 marks question, right? So the question will be like this. Explain class definition with syntax and example. You should write what is class definition first, then followed with the syntax. So it is a process of naming the data members and member functions followed with the name of the class, This is what the syntax. Then you have the example. Very simple example. If you want to write the main function also, you can write, but this is sufficient if you write class definition. Only the class keyword, the class name, followed with the private, protected and public members. Same way here also. In the example, we will have private members and public members. This is what with the example for class definition. Another question will be like explain class declaration with syntax and example, or it will be a different way saying that explain defining object of a class. Both are one and the same. With syntax and programming example means complete program you have to write. So a class declaration specifies the representation of objects. That is the process of creating objects and set of operations that what we need to have. So you only have to write this. This is the major part actually. User defined name, object 1, object 2. This is object declaration or defining object. Class declaration is nothing but representing objects, creating objects. So this is the example, a complete program, the simple interest program, your lab cycle program only you can learn. Very simple program, you can learn this lab program, simple interest program. Or if you don't want to write simple interest, you can simply say get data and put data. That is more than enough. You can simply say enter your register number name, a very simple program about student. You say int register number, character array, that is name. That also you can write. See, these chapters you need to learn completely, thoroughly, then only. See, you only have 7 chapters that what you need to learn. Those 7 chapters I have discussed in the previous video only. So now we have done with basic concepts, classes and objects. So that is 7 plus 6, right? Totally 7 plus 6, 13 marks. So when I say it is total chapter means you have to go through that chapter completely. So what are access specifiers? You need to go through the definition followed with the access specifiers. What is private? One example. What is public? One example. And what is protected? One example. You can go through all these definitions. Then the most frequently asked question, which is explain member function inside the class definition and outside class definition with an example. So inside class means when the member function code is very small, we go with inside. If it is very complex and very big, we go with outside the class. So syntax you need to write, so return type, member function and one example. So inside the class only we define. Outside means return type, class name, the scope resolution operator you need to have. Then the member function with arguments. See, this is what the example. If you want, if it is a complete program, if they ask, you need to include void main also for this. And the array of object. Till now this question has not yet been appeared, but they may ask this question also. Means it is having the class type of elements, the definition, only single line definition. See, you may also get this question for MCQ. Array having a set of class type elements, it is array of objects. Right, so it is array of objects. So you have a complete program. Just say get data, roll number, max, science, marks. This also you can do. See here, get data, put data. This is what the array of objects declaration, the major portion. Right, so we have done with the classes and objects. Totally 7 plus 6, 13 marks is done. Then we'll get into function overloading. So in the function overloading, we have once again 1 plus 5, that is 1 marks, that is MCQ, and 5 marks question. So in classes and objects also you have 1 plus 5 only. So you have 1 MCQ. So look at here. We have 1 MCQ and 5 marks question. And here in function overloading also you have 1 MCQ and 1 5 marks question. See. MCQ, 1 MCQ and 1 5 marks question, totally 6. So it is 13 plus 6, it is 19. Okay, so we are up to 19 now. So the most frequently asked question is what is meant by function overloading? Explain the need for function overloading. And see, all these definitions are different definitions, and among this you can have a simple definition. Whichever definition is easy for you, you can just learn that. Need or advantages of function overloading, both are one and the same. All these points you need to learn. 5 points or any 4 points, because they have merged 2 questions, right? 1 marks will be for the definition of function overloading, remaining 4 points for the need of function overloading. Any 4 simple points you can learn here. This is the major point actually. Explain function overloading with an example program. So this function overloading concept you can learn your lab cycle program only. See, I have simplified the program. So we are finding the area of the square, rectangle, not square, area of rectangle, area of circle and triangle. So area of rectangle, length into breadth, area of circle, pi r square, then area of triangle, half into base into height. Very simple program I have given here. See, look at here. It is, you can simply have any function name, that is left to you. So we have 3 functions: area, area, area. So one finds the area of rectangle, the other one area of circle, and the last one area of triangle. And we will simply pass the arguments right away like this. So your lab cycle program also will be like this only. If not, you can learn this only. If you get a question like explain function overloading with an example program, it will be for 5 marks only. Okay. Then finally we have inline functions. See, this chapter has 3 concepts. One is function overloading, the other one is inline function, and the third one is friend function. Only 3 concepts you have. All these 3 concepts are very simple. You can easily learn. Only thing you have to practice these programs. So just practice these chapters, important chapters. You will definitely get through your exams. So inline function, what is inline function definition? So you have 2 definitions here. Whichever definition is easy for you, you can learn that. And write a sample program for it. See, very simple program, that is finding the cube of a number. So this program, again, it's a lab cycle program. You can write the lab cycle program. And one more thing to tell you, in the key answers, we usually have the inline function concept with class and objects. If you write the program of inline function without class and object, sometimes the marks will not be rewarded. So it's better to write the inline function concept with class and object only. So this is what the program, if you go through this program, you can just make out. See, this is class assign program, your lab cycle program only. Very simple program. Just write and practice it. You will get it. And finally, if it is with theory aspects, it is advantages, disadvantages, restrictions of inline function. This can be asked: advantages, disadvantages, and restrictions. So all see, advantages say for 2 marks, disadvantages say 1 mark, restriction 2 marks. So it is 2 plus 2 plus 1, totally 5 marks. Restrictions means the it will be like this question also. So they may ask a simple question: when the inline function may not work, write the reasons for why the inline function may not work. So this question can also be asked for 4 marks with the attachment of what is inline function. That is also possible. So go through this. Then finally about friend function. This is the most frequently asked question actually, friend function. So they will ask, write about friend function, explain with a programming example. So what is friend function you need to write? Then all these characteristics that what I have mentioned, all these characteristics you have to write it. So totally you have 7 points. It's better at least you write 5 points on the characteristics. The friend function, first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if it is with example, a very simple example I have given, you can go through this. It's like my class. This is what the friend function declaration, only the declaration uses the keyword friend. And this is what with the setting value with passing arguments, that also. If you don't want this, you can simply accept the value also. That also you can do. Then this is the code of the friend function. Then in the main function, you only have these many lines. That's it. So it's quite simple, very simple program I have done. Right, that is what with the function overloading. So we have totally done with how many chapters now? So we have done with basic concepts, classes and objects, function overloading. So totally it is 7 plus 6 plus 6. So 6 plus 6, 12, 12 plus 7, it is 19 we have done. Now we'll get into the fourth chapter, important chapter, that is inheritance, 5 marks. So it is 19. So totally it is 6 plus 6, 12. 12 plus 7, it is 19. 19 plus 5, it is 24. So totally if you go through these 4 chapters, you will get 24 marks. So what will be the question in inheritance? What is inheritance? First question. Explain the types of inheritance. You have single inheritance diagram. Both the diagram you need to write. Multiple inheritance. See, we usually get confused with this. Multiple and multi-level. Multiple, you just remember multiple base classes. Multiple base classes. So this diagram you need to remember multiple base classes. Multi-level means level by level. See, one base, many derived classes like this. One by one, level by level. And hierarchical means it is like tree structure. Just remember the trees in data structure, hierarchy. So it will be like tree structure. So it is single level, one base, one derived. Multiple means many base classes. Multi-level means level by level you will have. Then hierarchical means it is like hierarchy, tree structure. Then hybrid combination of hierarchical and multi-level. This diagram. The second question will be like, what is inheritance? Write the advantages of inheritance. So reusing a one line definition, that's it. All these 5 points you need to write. What is inheritance? Advantages of inheritance. Okay. Next is, what is visibility mode and what is its role? So here you need to learn this table and you need to learn these points. So it's better you learn these points. Visibility mode controls the access specifier. So the different visibility modes are public, private and protected. So this diagram is very simple. It is public, not private members, not inherited always. About public, if we derive it in public mode, public is always public. Private, public mode means public members always remains public. Private, not inherited. Protected remains protected. So if it is in the private mode inheritance, the public members becomes private. Private members of base class, once again not inherited. Protected also private. So in the private mode, this is private, this is private. Private members not inherited. Whereas in the protected mode of inheritance, public remains protected, protected also remains protected, private not inherited. All these points are given here. If you go through these points, it will be very easy. You can easily remember. I can just give you a blind remembers. Just write down here base class. Then these things you need to write perfectly. First write public, then private, then protected. And here also public, private and protected. So these things you should be very careful. Okay, public mode, private mode and protected mode. For private, just write down all these things, not inherited, not inherited. For public line, you write public, private, protected. Public, public, private, private, protected, protected. For protected, for public, it is public mode, it is protected. This is private and this is protected. You can learn horizontally or vertically also. If you learn vertically, public mode of inheritance. It is public, not inherited, protected. Public remains public, protected remains protected, private not inherited. If it is private mode of inheritance, public members become private, protected also becomes private, private members not inherited. Any one, whichever is easy for you, you can learn horizontally or vertically. Vertical is better, I feel. Protected mode, look at here. Public members of base class remains protected. Protected members of base class remains protected. Private not inherited. These points are given here. You can go through these points. Public inheritance, private inheritance and protected inheritance. Then a small example. If you want, you can write this example or you can skip this. The final one, which is virtual base class. This diagram, the hybrid inheritance diagram you need to write and all these points you need to write and a very simple example you need to write. That is with the virtual base class. So this is with the 4 chapters that what you need to learn. And if you learn these 4 chapters, you will get 24 marks. If you want to still get few more marks, then you need to concentrate on K-map and data structures. I'll discuss about K-map, solved K-map and data structures, important theoretical aspects questions in the next part of the video. That's all for today's video. See you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. So totally you have 3 parts. Part 1 is done. Part 2 is this. Part 3 I'm going to record once again. So you need to refer to that also if you want to score still more marks, 10 more marks. So 24 plus 10, it becomes 34. So maximum of 34 you can score. And obviously in the practicals, if you have scored 20 or something like that, then you can get 50 above in your CS subject. So stay tuned to my channel. Share these contents to your friends also. Thank you.